Okay, Dairy Queen treat for the first person to send me an email with my mistake. All right, so Algebra 1, 5.6, graphing inequalities in two variables. The graph of a linear inequality is a set of points that represents all of the possible solutions of that inequality. An equation defines a boundary, which divides the coordinate plane into two half planes. The boundary may or may not be included in the graph of an inequality. When it is included, the solution is a closed half plane, meaning a solid line, similar to a filled-in dot. When not included, the solution is open half plane, meaning a dashed line or similar to a open circle. So step one, you're going to graph the boundary. Use a solid line when the inequality contains a less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Use a dashed line when the inequality contains less than or greater than. Step two, use a test point to determine which half plane should be shaded. Hint, use x equals 0 when possible. Now, you can't get nitpicky and say that that little dash in between the two S's is a mistake, okay? So, just so you know. Then number 3, shade the half plane that contains the solution. All right, let's take a look here. So we have the problem 3x minus y is less than 2. You have multiple ways of graphing an equation. You could graph using the x and y intercepts. You could graph by using the y-intercept and then use the slope. You can graph using a t-table. I'm not sure exactly what way I'm going to do it for all these problems, but I know this first one I'm going to use a t-table. So if x is 0, y is going to be, now again, you treat this as if it's an equal sign, not a less than or greater than at this point. So x is 0, y is less than -2. It's actually greater than -2, but that's besides the point. And then if I say let x equal 3, that would be 9. Subtract the 9, you get 7, be a -7. I would then graph those 2 points. 0, -2 would be roughly here. And 3, -7, 3, -7 would be here. Okay, I know it has a negative slope, a -3 for my slope. So I'm going to go down 3 over 1. Did I count that out right? Woohoo, could be my first mistake. When x is 0, it's a -2. When x is 3, 9. Woo. When x is 3, that's 9. -7, so I get a +7 when I multiply by that negative. So when x is 3, now I caught this mistake, so it doesn't count. Ha ha ha, for all those people that were already typing. 3 and 7, so it's going to be 3 and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. And my slope is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now remember, because it is strictly less than, I have a dashed line. Okay, I'm going to have a dashed line here. And we'll do something like this, if it works. Now, this first time I tap, it's going to go tap, tap, tap-a-roo. Let's see how that works. Woo, that is not what I wanted. Oh well, that doesn't count as a mistake. Wow, this Dairy Queen thing is getting to be pretty intense. Calm down. All right, so there is your graph. Okay, now that's a dashed line. What you have to figure out, though, is what half is shaded. Is the left half or the right half going to be shaded? So we want to use our test point. Our test point is 0, 0. Now, I said when x was 0 earlier. That was a mistake, but I caught myself, so you can't use it. You want to use 0, 0 as your hint. So down here, it's not that. You want to use 0, 0 for your hint when possible. Corrected by mistake, can't use it. All right, so if x is 0, y is 0, 0 is less than 2. If x is 0 and y is 0, I get 0 less than 2. Is that true? Yes, it is true. That means 0 is part of my solution, 0, 0. So that means all of this side is going to be graphed. All right, let's move on. Here we have y is greater than 0.5x plus 3. Remember, that's the same as y is greater than 1/2 x plus 3. And the reason why I do that is because I want you to understand that this is a half here. So when I'm doing values here, I want to use 0, and then I want to use other even numbers because I can find half of an even number pretty easily. So when x is 0, y will be 3. And when x is 4, y will be 5. So when x is 0, we get 3. And when we get 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get 5. My slope is a half, so it's up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. So we have this line. Now, dashed or solid. Because it is strictly greater than, it will be a dashed line. Now, let's see if we can find a better dashed line that's actually a line. Oh, yeah, much better. Oh, yeah. Okay, now that's arrow going in both directions. Now, the next thing that we have to do is figure out which half is shaded. Is it going to be the top half or bottom half? So I want to try my point, 0, 0. If I put in 0, 0, I'm going to have 0 greater than 0 plus 3 is 3. Is 0 greater than 3? That's false. So that means I cannot have my solution here. That cannot be my solution. That means then this is the part that is shaded. Okay, moving on. X minus 1 greater than y. Okay? That's the same as y is less than x minus 1 for those people that didn't think so. We continue here with my t-table. 0 and 3. When I put a 0 in for x, I get negative 1. When I put 3 in, I get 2. So 0, negative 1 is going to be there. 3, 2 is going to be there. And my line this time is going to be right here. There we are. Okay, so there's my line. Now, which part do I graph? The part that I graph is the part that is true. So, if I put in 0, is 0 less than a negative 1? That is false. So that means I am not going to graph this side. That means this side is the solution. Notice the solution is not a line. It is a half plane, which we mentioned earlier. A half plane. Moving on. In this problem, can't count this as a mistake. I forgot the problem. Don't know. Let's see if I have another one. Don't know. See if I have another one. What the heck happened here? All right. A yearbook company promises to give the junior class a picnic. So if they spend at least $28,000 on yearbooks and class rings, each yearbook costs $35 and each class ring costs $140. How many yearbooks and class rings must the junior class buy to get the picnic? So we have 35x plus the 140y, and that needs to be greater than or equal to the 28,000. Okay, so to figure out the graph, I need to know, like when, in this situation, remember we want in this graph, because I'm already thinking ahead, we're going to want the x-intercept and the y-intercept in these problems. So if x is 0, and then when y is 0. When x is 0, we divide by 140 and get 200 as your answer. And then if y is 0, we divide by 35 and we'll get 800 as the answer. Okay? So those are our two ordered pairs for our graph. Now I'm going to go back to these two graphs that I didn't know what were here for, and I'm going to use them. Now, because I have the ordered pair 0, 200, and 800, 0, instead of me counting by ones, I'm counting by 100s. So, if x is 0, y is 200, so that'll be 2. And when y is 0, x is 800, so I'm going to use 8, because again, I'm counting by 100s. If you remember in the problem, it was greater than or equal to, okay? The 35x plus 140y is greater than or equal to the 28,000. So with my line, first of all, it's the first solid line. Solid or dashed. This one is solid because it's greater than or equal to. It's a solid line. So putting in my solid line for this one. Okay, something like that. There's my solid line. You know, I really don't, because we can't have negative sales. So, well, technically, I suppose you could have negative sales. But anyways, so we get something like that. Okay. Now the next thing is try my different values on there. If I try 0, 0, is 0 greater than 28,000? No. 0 plus 0 greater than or equal to 28,000? No. So that means I don't graph down here. I am going to graph up there. So that is the graph for that problem.